When good trees say no, thorny trees say yes. That's my topic this afternoon. When good trees say no, thorny trees say yes. I think this is my second time in 5 years I've preached on this sermon. But I'm not going to be preaching. I'm just sitting down in my house and I just want to share something here, some nuggets which are very important when it comes to leadership and also when it comes to voting for people who must be leading us. One time during election time, my community asked me if I would love to be a candidate to be voted as an MP. I had already answered a call to the ministry in which our constitution at that time could not allow me to contest as a politician to take up an office. Not only that, I had spent few years outside the country. So two things disqualified me. And we're going to be looking at Judges chapter 9, verse 8 to 15. I think those who read their Bibles, they know the story of Jotham. And Jotham was part of the 70 who were supposed to be slaughtered by Abimelech. And but Jotham ran away and hid on Mount Gerizim. On his hide, he created a parable which resonates with my subject today. And he narrated a parable. He said, trees wanted a king. Trees wanted a king. And they went for a campaign, and they went for a selection of candidates. And among the trees, their first choice was an olive tree, which had qualifications of oil, which was used in ordaining God's people and king. And also olive oil was very important during that time. Not only that, the second candidate was a fig tree. A fig tree was qualified because of its sweetness and the fruits loved by the people of that community. The third candidate was the vine. The vine was qualifying because the vine made wine, and those people lived by wine. You couldn't serve food without a bottle of wine on the table. So wine was a sign of gladness, sign of joy, and in God's people and men as well. The fourth candidate who offered himself, he was a brambly tree, very thorny tree. He was not qualifying. All what he qualified was he had thorns, and you could not give anything to earth except thorns. I don't know what kind of bramble tree was this, but when I looked at the scriptures, some commented that the crown which was put on Christ was made of bramble tree. I've got a sample of it here, which I'll show you later. So, it was the election time. We notice a pattern which is happening in Africa. The tree that were actually doing something valuable said no. The trees that were actually qualifying, they refused to contest the elections. They were busy producing oil, producing fruits, producing wine, which was a good service to God's people and God himself. But when it came to leadership and administration, they declined. So the vote and the kingship's responsibility went to a brambly tree. It had no fruit, no shade, no value, except the power to burn everything down if it didn't get its way. Abimelech is the thorn, and Israel chose him because the good options stayed in their orchards. How many of us are staying in our orchards? And when God has blessed us with money, when God has blessed us with chain of companies, when God has blessed us with chain of churches, when God has blessed us with chain of farms, we feel we are no longer part of the community anymore. We see here an olive tree which produces these fruits refused to lead and saying it's busy producing fruits. And a fig tree, which I will use this orange because I couldn't find a fig tree. A fig tree said, no, I bring sweetness to the kings. I cannot be voted in. The vine said, no, I produce wine. I make people happy. I've got enough. I don't want to be voted. History repeats itself. That's what is happening in our Africa. That's why I say, when it comes to leadership and administration, they declined. All these declined. But the bamboo tree, which is a thorny tree, took up the leadership. It had no fruit, no shade, no value, except the power to burn everything down if it didn't get its way. Abimelech is the thorn in Israel at this juncture. And Israel chose him because the good options stayed in their orchards. All these other guys I showed you, they stayed in their orchards. and chose a thornful leader to lead them. So what is the problem? Capable people opted out in the midst of action. We have seen that happening in Africa. Those we think they are capable, and those we look forward to them, and we think they are capable, even when you pick up a call and say, I think you make a good candidate, they turn you down, and they give a chance to thorny leaders, like what happened in Israel at this time. Capable people opted out in action. The olive fig tree and the vine were not lazy, because you could see their factories, you could see their companies. Their companies were flourishing and they were making progress. Their companies were flourishing and they were making progress. Their farms were flourishing and they were making progress. They were flourishing and they were making progress. But all these who were making progress, they denied the idea of the community, saying to them, can you take up leadership? They thought their factories, they thought their companies will succeed when they are led by a thorny leader. They chose the bramble tree to lead them. And the bramble tree put conditions and said, you must know you will have to listen to me. If you don't listen to me, I'll give you a hard time. That's what happened. So we find them giving their reasons. The olive tree said, I'm already serving. The vine tree said, why leave the wine for politics? They saw being a politician being distraction from really work. Politics is messy. And one of them said, I cannot spend my time waving hands to trees, as if he himself was not a tree. Sometimes we become so rich and so educated, and we forget that we are still human. We forget that it might be raining today, but it may not be raining tomorrow. We might be enjoying the fruition of the fruits we make in our companies or in our churches. We forget that as long we are not in charge of government, we will be ruled by thorns. And we will start to fast and pray and ask God to remove what we voted in. So this is the story of Jotham, how he brought his parable to the nation. Isn't it sound familiar? When the nurse who could reform the hospital board says, I just want to care for patients. When the engineer who sees the waste, who sees the sewage, he turns around and say, I don't want to be involved in politics. When the parent who can fix the parents' association in a school turns around and say, I'm too busy, I'm raising my own kids. These are capable, but there are people who opt out because they don't want to face the challenge. I've spoken to few people I know sometimes when it goes to elections and say, why don't you throw your name in? They refuse. But when we are now ruled by thorny people, they are the ones who are on the front line in social media complaining about thorny leadership. So, a thorny will always be a thorny. But we encounter here a thorny leader said, vote for me. And they voted for him. What does bramble leadership look like? Jotham tells us in that scripture. It offers fake shelter. The thorn says, come, rest in my shade. Try it. You will get cut. If you try to rest, you will get cut. You get scratched. Thorny leaders promise protection, but produce pain. Abimelech promised security to Shechem. Within 3 years, he slaughtered 69 leaders. He killed 69 leaders. And Jotham survived. He is the one who spoke this parable. A thorny leader offers fake shelter. Number 2, a thorn leader runs leadership on threats. He always threatens people. He rules under fear. If you read that scripture, it says, if not, let fire come out. Thorns don't lead by service. They lead by do this or else. No fruit, just fear. Thorns bends down what it rules. You can see when I'm holding this stick, I cleared thorns where I'm holding, but I cannot hold it properly because it will injure me. So, once you vote a thorny person, you reap what you voted for. Thorns can't build. They only know how to catch fire. Abimelech's reign lasted 3 years and ended with a woman dropping a millstone on his head in Judges 9 verse 53. Everyone lost. When we vote for the loudest voice instead of the most fruitful life, we shouldn't be surprised when we get banned. Here is a call, bearing fruit in public. Jesus later, he speaks up this theme, saying, by their fruits ye shall know them. Ye shall recognize them. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. That's what Jesus said. The olive tree was wrong about one thing, because it was already serving in leadership, but in the corner making oil. The fig tree was on the wrong, governing well in its fruits. The vine was on the wrong. It had good leadership in producing its production. But in a country which is ruled by a thorny leader, you can see the contrast. You are ruled by a thorny leader, but you are so proud that you are a great lawyer. You are so proud that you are a great communicator. Maybe you are running a communication company. You are so proud that you are a big farmer. You produce the products, but you are not making profits, except you are making it for a thorny leader. This is the situation in Africa. So the olive tree was wrong, the fig tree was wrong, the vine was wrong, but the bramble jumped in and said, I will take up the position. He had taken the position already because he had killed already 69 people who were there and who could help him govern, who could be his advisors. But instead of keeping them so that they advise him, he killed 69, and Jotham was the only one left. So, brothers and sisters, we have a challenge for the olives, figs, and vines in our country, or in Africa, in our continent. Count the cost of saying no. When people ask you to be voted in, your no isn't neutral. You can think you are neutral, but when capable people refuse, thorns get elected. When capable people refuse to be candidates, thorns get elected. Sometimes your fruitfulness means leaving the orchard for a season to govern the forest. You need to leave what you are doing and go and govern the forest for a season, because you cannot be proud of what you produce in a thorny government. When you eat alone, when you enjoy alone, some of us, we are outside the country. Okay? You might be enjoying outside the country. You might be a refuge, you might be an exile, maybe running a farm in Africa, running a farm in your own country, but in a country which is ruled by a thorny leader. We need to count the cost. Saying no is not being neutral. Refusing to be voted in is not being neutral. Refusing to lead the people who trust you, people who have chosen you, is not being neutral. It's just joining the thorny person who has just taken over. We can be taken to think about Joseph. Joseph governed Egypt. Daniel served Babylon. Deborah judged Israel. Leadership isn't beneath your calling. It might be your calling. Your competence is a stewardship, not just a career. Accept that waving the trees is messy. Yes, it is. You will get criticized. You will produce less oil for a while, but the whole forest needs shade, not just your patch of ground. For all of us choosing leaders, look for fruit, not for fire. 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 If you see a capable person hiding in their orchard, ask them, are you going to be the candidate in 2027? Are you going to be the candidate in 2028? Are you going to be the candidate in 2029? Are you going to be the candidate in 2030? Are you going to be the candidate in 2031? Ask them. Some people need to be asked. These people of Israel, they had a chance to ask others and say, Mr. Olive, can you put your name forward? Mr. Olive said no. They went to Mr. Fig Tree. Can you put your name as a candidate? The fig said no. And they went on and on until they had no candidate. They went to the bramble tree. The bramble tree was a thorn, and it said, yes, I'll take that leadership. But you must know, if you choose me, I'll teach you a lesson. And they put him knowing that he's going to teach them a lesson. And when they now learn the lesson the hard way, they call for fasting, they call for prayer, they call for demonstrations, they call all for these things. Where were you when the thorny leader was chosen? What were you doing when a thorny leader was chosen? Everything was open. Jotham's parable ends with a warning, but the Bible doesn't end there. We read that centuries later, another tree did say yes for ruling. Not an olive, not a fig tree, not a vine, but a tree on a hill called Golgotha. If you read that chapter I gave you, you'll find some way where the bramble tree is threatening a cedar tree, which was not part of the election. You know, the thorny leaders have got guts to threaten those who are not even on the ballot box, who are not even on the candidate list. They threaten them. They threaten our young generation. They threaten our children. This king threatened the cedars. He said, when I burn, I'll even go and burn the cedar tree. You must know that the cedar tree was the strongest tree during that time. So the bramble tree has got an eye to know who is coming in the future. They threatened to burn him alive. So the bramble tree threatened the cedar trees. I wonder, are we not threatened? Our children, are they not threatened by the thorny president, the thorny king we elected, the thorny person we allowed, the person who killed 69 leaders, and the others are hiding on Mount Gerizim, and they are talking in parables on social media. They can't speak directly. They are talking in parables because they are scared to be killed. I was just saying, on Golgotha, a cross rose on that mountain, and the thorny, which was supposed to harass people, he put that on his head. A good leader will not give people thorny life, but you will take thorns. and put it in his head. That's what Christ did for us. I believe in Jesus. When we are asked to pray for leaders, as it says in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 to 2, tells us to pray for kings. Sometimes the answer to that prayer is you. You are the answer to that prayer. We can't keep on praying for kings. Lord, give us good kings. But maybe that king is you. Maybe that president is you. Maybe that president, that prime minister is you. What are you today? Are you an olive tree? Or you are a fig tree? Or you are a vine tree? Or you are a bamboo tree, which is thorny, and the people, they wish you are not there? Why don't you change? God bless you.